Lucas, and I'm the Member of Parliament in Brighton, and I represent the Green Party. And it is my huge honour and privilege to welcome you all to the House of Commons tonight. You are so very, very welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I will be chairing at least the first half of the meeting. You probably know these are quite busy times right now in the House of Commons. I think we still have a government, but one never quite knows. But I am really happy to welcome our speakers. But first I wanted just to say a few words of introduction for tonight's meeting. Because you will know that it's almost exactly 8 years ago, March the 11th, 2011, when the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster was triggered in the Fukushima prefecture, about 150 miles north of Tokyo. And over the ensuing weeks, there were 4 explosions, 3 nuclear meltdowns, and over 160,000 people evacuated, with radioactive emissions scattered over large tracts of Japan. And a year later, in 2012, an investigative panel of the Japanese National Parliament concluded that the Fukushima disaster was, and I quote, profoundly man-made and was caused by a disregard of the risks of earthquakes by an industry determined to preserve the illusion that nuclear power was absolutely safe. The panel attributed the accident to the collusion of government, regulator, and the industry in gambling the public's well-being on lowering the high cost of safety from what is an inherently dangerous technology. And as you will know, the disaster continues to this day, and it's still causing immense problems. And some of those problems include many tons of melted nuclear fuel still being unstable under reactors numbers 1, 2, and 3. An estimated 300 tons of contaminated water are dumped every single day into the Pacific Ocean. Now, that water is needed to keep cool the melted nuclear fuel, which must not be allowed to melt again. Many millions of cubic meters of contaminated soil remain in huge temporary dumps with no clear idea of where they will be stored in the long term. And according to NHK World Japan, over 50,000 evacuees remain in temporary accommodation. And despite government pressure to return to so-called cleaned-up towns, most evacuees, quite understandably, are very reluctant to do so. So the toll of Fukushima is enormous. Over 7% of the land area of Japan was contaminated to a serious level. Official reports say that over 3,600 people have died as a result of the nuclear disaster, including over 2,000 during the evacuations necessary to avoid the large radiation exposures. Over 180 additional cases of thyroid cancer have been recorded in children and teenagers so far. This is far more than was expected. From official WHO collective dose estimates, over 5,000 other cancers are likely to occur. Reports are now trickling out of other health effects, including recent rises in congenital heart disease in infants. But these are just the reported health studies. Who is counting the just as serious number of suicides or the mental health effects or so-called nuclear divorces or families who remain geographically separated? Now, we shall hear very soon first-hand testimonies of these effects. But the restoration, the clean-up, the compensation, the recovery costs are immense. The Japan Centre for Economic Research calculates that these will range from 240 to 560 billion pounds. That is almost 4 times higher than Japanese government estimates. But of course, we shall probably never know all of the true costs of Fukushima. But what we do know is that we must never forget this catastrophe. And that is why we are meeting here tonight. We must continue to counter the efforts of the Japanese government, of TEPCO, of the academics and the official bodies, all of whom are seeking to minimize its effects and to try to ignore the past. This, unbelievably, includes holding some events of the 2020 Olympic Games in contaminated parts of Tokyo and Fukushima Prefecture. And I should mention that the legal fight for compensation is a major issue still, obviously, in Japan. And many court cases are being fought by Fukushima evacuees, parents, and many others. And some of these court cases right now are reaching a very important stage. Two major class actions are the Children's Rights Trial, which demands that local government recognise the rights of primary and secondary school students of Fukushima Prefecture to enjoy education in a healthy environment. And second, the Parent and Child Trial, which seeks compensation from the Fukushima Prefecture and from the Japanese central governments as well. Now, this meeting obviously is about what is going on in Japan, but I want quickly to mention the UK situation as it has some Japanese parallels. Because here in the UK there are two Japanese multinationals, Toshiba and Hitachi, and they recently indicated that they no longer wish to proceed with their proposed nuclear reactors in Cumbria, in the north of England, and in Wales. And a third, Mitsubishi, withdrew from its proposed reactors in Turkey just 6 months ago. Now, they are all withdrawing from their nuclear businesses, even as the Japanese government and TEPCO are still pushing for the reopening of old reactors that were closed after the accident. So why are these Japanese nuclear conglomerates pulling out of nuclear? And a major factor has been the increased costs of safety features in new reactors that are now required after Fukushima. So I should like now to introduce our speakers tonight. We warmly welcome to Britain 3 Japanese mothers from Fukushima: Akiko Morimatsu, Asami Yokata, and Ms. Sonoda, who have been travelling throughout Europe, telling the stories of how they were affected and how they continue to be affected by the disaster. And I think we all pay huge tribute to their courage in being here and doing all of the work that they continue to do. But before we hear from them, I want to hand the floor to Dr. Ian Fairlie to my left, an independent consultant on radioactivity in the environment, a former scientist with DEFRA, which is the UK's Environment Ministry. And he will set the scene and also make some concluding remarks, and very kindly he will take the chair in about 45 minutes when I have to leave as well. So, Ian Fairlie, thank you so much.
This is going to be really quick because we've got a lot to get through. Can everybody see the screen here? As Karen mentioned, I'm basically setting the scene, so because not everybody knows what will happen. Some people have not seen these photographs. This is the Fukushima Daiichi plant before the accident. It has 4 reactors, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In March 11th, 2011, hit the coast. This is actually a still from a video showing the actual wave hitting the pier front in front of Daiichi plant. Oh, sorry. You can actually see the time here, and it's 15:35 Japanese Central Time. This caused the whole reactor area to be flooded, the whole plant to be flooded, as you can see here. 1 day later, on March the 12th, there was an explosion at Unit 1. This is it here, caught on video, and this is the still from it. 2 days after that, another explosion at Unit 3, a bigger explosion this time. And this resulted in considerable damage to the units, and this is 3 and 4. 2 and 1 also were damaged, but the damage here I've got a much better close-up, and this is it here. You can see that the damage to the reactors in the buildings was quite severe. This resulted in radioactive nuclides being spread, this is Fukushima here, throughout large areas of Japan. This map is slightly different from official maps because it was compiled by local people and by a Japanese professor at the university here, Kaiba, who constructed this and showed that the officialdom was maps were lying. What we normally see in official maps is just this bit here. And that's the high concentration. However, lower concentrations were going here. And this is Tokyo here. So you can see that large parts of Tokyo were affected by the deposition of radionuclides. And that's just Japan. This is the deposition into the sea. And this is from the United States, from video camera, the satellite pictures taken on the 1st of January 2012. You can see the extent of the contamination of the Pacific Ocean. And that's the water contamination. This is air deposition. And here is Fukushima here, right round the world. I put the slide up because Americans don't believe that it affected them. Well, it did. And you can see right around the whole of the world, effectively speaking. This is the latest picture, about a week old, the first pictures of the melted nuclear fuel. You can see the grating here. Can you see the grating? And you can see the yellow specks here. The yellow specks is uranium. Uranium fuel is yellow. So this is the first time that we've seen the melted fuel under reactor 1, I think it is. The radiation dose rate from this was 530 sieverts per hour. In other words, you get a lethal dose in about 40 seconds. These cameras, they last about 5 minutes at the very most, and then they're destroyed because of the high radiation flux. Okay, this is the present situation. There's ongoing leaks, as Carolyn mentioned. There's a whole series of unresolved issues, how we store the huge volumes of tritium-contaminated water, a lot of waste just by decontamination. They've got the melted reactor cores, we've got the spent fuel, and top of reactors 1, 2, and 3 that came off, left off. And we've got, just very recently, news about fuel microparticles throughout the whole of Japan. These are tiny, tiny respirable particles, about 3 microns in diameter, which, unbeknownst to everybody, are all over the place. Now, this is just breaking news, and I haven't really got my head around it. And people ask me, is it serious? Well, yes, it is serious, but the trouble is that I have not seen any before and after effects, so I watch this space is about the best I can say. As I say, it's very new. These are the 23 million bags at 100,000 sites over Japan. This is crazy, it really is. Why the Japanese authorities are doing this without knowing without any clear plan for the future. These bags have an average life of 6 years. What happens after that? Nobody knows. I mean, it's really crazy what the Japanese government is doing. Very briefly, the evacuation experience was very severe. The worst instances were of farmers, because Fukushima Prefecture is an agrarian area, who were forced to leave the land, and they refused to do so. And when compulsory removed, they went around and shot their animals, their cows, because if the cows are not milked daily, they suffer tremendously, and then they shot themselves. That happened in at least 24 instances, and it was just heartbreaking, that kind of thing that goes on. But that's when you're involved in the nuclear game, these are the kind of results that may happen. And the Japanese government has refused to accept responsibility for that. Now, on health effects, there's a lot. as Karen mentioned, there's still 50,000 people still evacuated. There's tens of thousands of cases of post-trauma stress disorder, PTSD, depression, anxiety disorders from the evacuations alone. An estimated 3,600, these are official figures, 3,600 deaths from the nuclear part of the accident, not the flooding or the tsunami or the earthquake. And there's 40,000 workers are exposed up to very high levels. We expect 5,000 fatal cancers arising over the next 60 years. And as Karen said, about 8% of Japan is affected. The economic losses are unbelievable. I'm going to leave it at that because we're under time constraints. I was going to talk about the fact that Chernobyl was even worse and it has affected us here in Britain, but I shan't do that. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Ian. So I'm really happy now to introduce, I think Akiko will start first. Akiko Marimatsu. Oh, Asima, okay, so Asabi will start first. She is a Fukushima mother who remains in Fukushima but evacuated her son to Hokkaido. And we will hear from her via a translator.
事故当時13歳だった私の一人息子は今21歳、福島から800キロ離れた兵庫県に住んでいます。
My son, who was 13 years old at the time of nuclear explosion, turned to 21, living in Hyogo Prefecture near Osaka, where 800 kilometers away from Fukushima.
私自身は福島原発から65キロぐらい離れた郡山というところに原発事故の当時もそして今も住み続けています。
I myself have always lived in Koriyama City in Fukushima, where it's only 65 kilometers away from the power plant, with running a small cafe.
東日本大震災の大きな揺れは建物がうねるように動く地震で余震は夜も続き、原発から半径3キロの住民には避難指示、10キロの住民には屋内退避の命令が出ました。
The earthquake surged buildings, and the aftershocks had continued until the night, while evacuation of Bursley was announced within 3 kilometers radius of residents. Within 10 kilometers radius of residents was suggested to stay at home.
いつでも逃げれるように、服を着たまま不安な夜を過ごし、原発の知識や怖さを知っていた息子はその時から外に出ることをしませんでした。
My family spent the night with a fear, while preparing to run away anytime just in case. My son, who has a knowledge of nuclear power, was unwilling to go outside.
詳しく原発を学んでいた息子の意見もあり、会津の場のところに避難しましたが、郡山は避難区域ではなかったために、学校は通年通り始まり、郡山に戻りました。自転車通学だった息子だったのですが、被爆回避のため車で送迎いたしました。
Then my family took shelter at my relative's house in Kaizu City. However, our home area wasn't included in the evacuation area, and school reopened. Then we had to go back to Koriyama City. My son used to use a bicycle to go to school, but I started to take him by a car.
被爆回避のため、息子の格好は暑い時期になっても長袖に長ズボン、マスクにゴーグル、そんな格好は息子だけで変だなと思われていたと思います。
To avoid the radiation exposure, my son kept wearing long sleeves, long trousers, masks, as well as goggles, even in the hot summer days, which makes him very strange from the others.
正確な線量も知らされず、安全ではない事故前と変わらぬ学校生活に従えず不登校になりました。あの時、国が正確な情報をきちんと報告していてくれたら、私たちのように被爆回避をした人たちは多かったと思うし、私たちの行動も理解されたと思います。
Gradually, my son refused to attend school since everybody pretended to be normal as same as the previous life without knowing accurate dose of radioactivity. If Japanese government had informed the accurate information about radiation, more people would have avoided radiation exposure. Besides, the actions our family took could have been understood, I think.
2011年10月から風評被害払拭のために小中学校の給食は 原発事故に収穫された米や野菜を使うことになりました。給食を食べることで無条件で内部被爆をすると考え、息子は給食を食べない選択をしました。
Since October 2011, to dispel the bad reputation about Fukushima, elementary schools and junior high schools have started to use rice and vegetables, which were reaped in Fukushima after the explosion. My son considered the risk of internal exposure to radiation. He refused to eat school meals.
そんな国の対応の中、息子は福島から避難したいと言い出しました。しかしその時、子供だけの受け入れ先はその時点ではありませんでした。
My son wanted to get out from Fukushima, but there was no shelter for a single child.
少しでも福島から出そうと考えて、夏休みや冬休みは毎回北海道の保養に参加し続け、中学校卒業のタイミングで単独避難を決めました。
I also wanted to help my son to get out and took him to a recuperation in Hokkaido. Then he decided to go to Hokkaido at the point of junior high school graduation.
避難先の北海道札幌市は保養で何度も訪れたので馴染みもありました。息子は国内亡命だと言っていましたが、当時子供だけの単独避難したケースは周りにはいなかったと記憶しています。
He called it was a kind of domestic exile. There was no similar case that a single child get away from Fukushima for recuperation.
今現在まだ私は郡山に住んでいますが、本意ではありません。8年が過ぎた今でも被爆や放射能問題はまだ終わっていません。
I have still lived in Koriyama City, but I don't want to stay here any longer as none of the issues regarding nuclear radiation exposure has solved yet.
子どもの保養や私のように移住を考えている人はまだいると思います。それがいつかなのか、いつになるのかは分かりませんが、受け入れている土地や場所があればこそ実行できることだと思っています。
I feel some people also want their kids to evacuate from Fukushima or move to another places. I don't know when and where to move. I hope some place can accept us.
息子の単独避難も受け入れてくれる行き先があったから実現したことです。思った時に行くことができる、行ける場所があるという安心感は大事だと思います。
My son was lucky as there was a place which welcomed him to move. Therefore, I think it is important to have a sense of safety by having an option to move.
福島に残り生活する以上は内部被爆を回避しなければならないと思っています。カフェのすぐ近くに農家の朝摘み野菜の直営所があります。原発事故前はそこでいつも買っていました。今は全く買っていません。福島からなるべく遠く離れたところで作ったものを買っています。
While I am staying at Fukushima, I have to avoid internal exposure as much as I can. I used to buy vegetables at the local farmers near my cafe, but I stopped going, instead trying to buy food from faraway place from Fukushima.
原発事故直後は放射能汚染により出荷停止の福島県産ものがありました。今は線量チェックをして、制限地内のものは出荷されています。出荷されたものは安全だ、安心だと思っている人も多いです。しかし、出荷してもいい数値と食べてもいい数値は同じだとは私は思えていません。
Right after the explosion, some shipping of Fukushima product was suspended due to the radioactive contamination. Now, most of the product has shipped based on the dose of radioactivity. Majority believe that the shipped food is totally safe, while I am highly suspicious about it.
安心できる食べ物や飲み水は値段が高いとしても買うことはできますが、空気は売っていません。福島県産は食べるものなのに食べないんでしょと思われています。食べない選択が自分でできる、自分を内部被爆から守る有効手段と思いますから、これから先も続けると思います。
We can buy safe food and clean water even though they are pricey. We can't buy safe air, however. Many people argue that the food produced in Fukushima is totally eatable. However, I think the freedom choice, whether to eat or not, is most important in order to protect myself from internal exposure. I will keep this habit.
風評被害払拭や復興は前向きで、 放射能や被爆被害を気にする私のような人は前向きではないと思われています。
Many people insist that to dispute the bad reputation of Fukushima product and its revival is positive.
福島に住んでいても私のように自分の思いを声に出せる人はいいけれど、本当は不安で悩んでいる人、話せず相談もできない人のことを気にかけなければならないと感じます。
Most of the people categorized the people who care the radiation and internal exposure like me is negative. Therefore, I'd like to be a helpful people who lives in Fukushima but can't really speak out their fear of worries in front of the others.
だから私はこれから先も自分の店で原発の話ができたり、被爆の相談を聞いたり、放射能問題のことを気にしていない人にも聞こえるように話し続けていきたいと思っています。そういう場所があることでほっとできるのであればいいなと思っています。
Thus, I will keep talking about this matter in my cafe, listening to the others as well as giving them advice to make them relieve.
最近になって息子に郡山の友達から相談が出てきているそうです。あの時13歳だった息子も20歳を超え家庭を持つという将来を考え、結婚できるのか、子供は産めるのか、あの時被爆回避をしなかったことに不安を募らせて友達が出てきているそうです。
In these days, some old friends of my son who got over 20 years old started asking to him, "Is it possible to get married or can we have a baby?" based on the fear of radiation exposure.
放射能や被爆を私たちのように過大に判断することも、気にしていない人のように過小に判断することも、どの判断も間違いではないと私は思っています。
I think neither responding to the radiation seriously like us, nor paying no attention to it is wrong.
私たち親子の場合は自己満足です。後々あの時避難すればよかった。あの時被爆回避をしとけばよかったと、やらせなかった後悔とやらなかった後悔をしたくないだけの判断、そして行動です。
For my case, I and my son is doing this in order not to feel regret in the future.
被爆や放射能に関して両極端な意見がありますが、何が正しいか、何が正しくないかではなくて、何を正しいと思うか、何を正しいと判断できるかが大事なことなんじゃないかと思います。
Even the intellectuals and researchers have an opposite poles of opinions. Therefore, I think what can I decide, what I think right is more important than what is right.
目にも見えず、匂いもない厄介な放射能の存在に慣れてしまう感覚、テレビで毎日流れる放射線空間線量の数値を示されて放射能の存在を知る。他の県ではそんな項目はありませんが、福島県では天気予報の次にそれが流れます。
We are getting used to the life with radiation, which is invisible, odorless, and therefore it is only recognizable by the numeral data of air radiation dose in the TV, which is only informed in Fukushima every day.
最初の頃は違和感がありましたが、今では当然の光景の一つです。それから事故後、放射線量低減のために行った除染したから大丈夫と思っている人は多いようです。除染しないとダメなところだとは思わないようです。最初の除染の時に出た汚染土は自宅の庭や公園などに埋めました。
I felt it was strange for the beginning, but now we got used to it. Regarding decontamination, people again started to think it is fine. For the polluted soil, we buried it in the garden in our house or near park.
今、その除染土を掘り起こし、仮置き場に移動させる作業が始まっています。事故直後の作業員の格好は防護服を着用したりもしていましたが、今はマスクもつけない作業員もいたりします。先に話したように、色も形も匂いもない放射能だから忘れてしまうんだと思います。
Now, it has begun to relocate the polluted soil and the temporary place in Fukushima. The staff who used to wear a protective suits is now work with decontamination without wearing masks. I think because of its invisibility and odorousness made people to forget about the risk of radiation.
8年が過ぎ、9年目の3月11日はフランスで迎えました。当時を思い出し、あの頃と変わらない自分の思いとまだ終わってないこと、ずっと続いていることだと再確認しました。
Now 8 years has passed, and I spent the 9th of March 11th in France. I recall the beginning of nuclear disaster and reconfirm that this is continuing. Hasn't finished anything.
原発のこと、放射能のこと、被爆のことに対して真面目に考えたり悩んでいる人が、福島県では厄介者、変な人と思われている現状と、報道されない私たち親子の話を福島から遠く離れたイギリスでできたことに感謝いたします。ありがとうございました。
People who consider nuclear power, radiation, and radioactive exposure has been seen as troublemakers or strangers in Japan nowadays, including my family. Thus, I am very honored to be here to speak out the truth, which has been marginalized and ignored on the news in Japan. Thank you so much for your listening.
ありがとうございました。時間通りで。
Thank you so much for continuing to speak out. It is so important, and you have given us a real insight into one aspect of what it must be like to be in Fukushima right now. So thank you so very much. We will move now to Akiko Morimatsu. She is a Fukushima mother who evacuated to Osaka with her 2 young children. She's a leading light in the Japanese anti-nuclear movement and campaigns on behalf of the victims of the Fukushima nuclear disaster. And just last year, in March, she appeared in front of the United Nations Human Rights Council to speak on behalf of the victims of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, and we are very delighted to have her with us today.
はじめまして皆さん、森松明子と申します。
Thank you very much for having me today. I'm Akiko Morimatsu.
今日はイギリスの院内集会でこのような原発事故から丸8年が経過しましたが、日本から遠く離れたこのようなイギリスの国で日本の福島原発事故のことを知らせる、証言する機会をいただき、福島原発事故で失ったもの、受けた被害、私たち人類が経験したことを共に証言を聞き共有してくださる、この機会を与えてくださったこの会場のすべての皆様に感謝を申し上げます。ありがとうございます。
I'm very honored to speak here in the House of Parliament in Westminster. It's been 8 years, and here, this place is far from Japan, but still people are thinking about us. And I am really thankful for all the people to realize this opportunity, and I will talk about what we lost, what suffering we've had, and what suffering that the whole humankind had to suffer.
私は、福島原発事故直後2ヶ月間は、福島のそばに、住んでいましたが、その後2ヶ月後、福島から600km ほど離れた大阪という町に、今日も2人の子供を連れてきていますが、後ろにいるあの2人の子供たちを連れて、この2人ですね、避難をしてきています。ちょっとスタンドアップ、立って2人。
These are my children. Mayor, 11 years old, and Mayor, 8 years old. Thank you very much. After the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, for 2 months I remained in Koreama, which is about 60 kilometers away from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. In May, after 2 months from the disaster, I moved to Osaka, which is about 600 kilometers away from Fukushima, with my 2 children, my beloved children.
8年間ずっと避難という経験をし続けていますが、その原因は、理由は一つだけです。福島第一原発から、放射能が、私たちの生活の圏内にばらまかれて、 当時0歳と3歳だった子どもの命と健康を守るために今も避難を継続し続けています。
It's been 80 years since we have evacuated. There is only reason why I evacuated. It's in order to protect me and my children, and it's about our health and our lives. At that time, my children were several months old and 3 years old.
日本の国では原発事故直後から多くの母親たち、親たちが自分の命と同時に自分の守るべき子どもの命を守りたいと、そして避難を続けたい、今も避難を続けたいという、願っている母親がたくさんいます。しかし、この8年の間、それらの親の願い、子どもの命や健康を守りたいというための制度や具体的な施策は8年も長い期間があったのに何一つ実施はされていません。一方で避難をした人がの住宅を取り上げ、いろいろな制度を、最初の頃していた支援制度を打ち切り、帰還という、ひどく汚染された地域に人々を戻す、そういう施策や制度には莫大な費用や税金をかけて、それらの制度は実施をされ続けています。
Immediately after the disaster, there were a lot of parents and children who wanted to evacuate, and there are still many parents and children who want to stay away from the disaster-struck area. However, during this last 8 years, virtually no policy or no institution has been established in order to protect our lives. And on the other hand, the Japanese government is trying to eliminate the supports, public supports, and to promote the returning of the people to Fukushima. And for that kind of policies, a huge amount of money has been spent, and meanwhile, the housing subsidy and public supports to the evacuees have been cut.
事故直後、私たち原発の周辺住民は、望まない無用な被爆を重ねました。空気、爆発、原発事故の爆発により、まず空気が汚染され、そのプルームに乗って放射線硬化物で、外部被爆をし、その放射性物質は地面を汚染し、そしてその地面に落ちた放射能は地下水を取って水に流れ、そして先ほどの説明通り海洋、太平洋を汚して地球規模で汚染をずっと出し続けています。
We, the residents in Fukushima, have been exposed to the unnecessary radiation exposure. First, the nuclear power plant exploded, and that contaminated the air, and the plume fell into the ground, and that spread into the groundwater, and the water goes into the ocean. In that sense, just as Ian visualized, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster contaminated the whole earth.
原子力発電所の事故、爆発というのは、もちろん環境を汚染するので環境問題でもあります。それからエネルギーの問題でもあります。でも私自身は福島第一原発の事故を経験して、この問題は人の命とか健康に関わる権利、生きる権利にそれを直接侵害する、そういうものだということをこの8年間認識し続けています。
Of course, the nuclear power disaster is an environmental disaster, and it's a matter of energy policy. However, I myself regard the nuclear power disaster as something that directly concerns human life and health, and it's about our right to live a healthy life free of radiation exposure.
私の個人的な経験では、当時0歳だった娘に、私自身も汚染されたという分かっている水を自分が飲むことになります。 これも無用な被爆です。もちろん拒否をしたいと思います。でもその水を飲んだ母親が出す母乳を飲む赤ん坊はまだ被爆を避けたいとか拒否したいというその意思も能力もまだない。それなのに無用な被爆を親からさせられるというような事態が巻き起こるのです。
It's my personal experience. At the time, my daughter was only several months old. I had to drink the contaminated water, and I had to breastfeed my daughter. And my daughter didn't have choice to say no. She even didn't have any notion of avoiding radiation exposure. She can't understand that kind of notion. But my daughter or those children was made forcibly contaminated because of the acts of their parents.
放射線被爆から免れ健康を享受するというのは人権の中でも最も大切な生きることに直接関わる権利です。
To live free from radiation exposure, the right to live free from radiation exposure is one of the fundamental human rights that directly concerns our human life.
それは生まれたての赤ん坊でも明日寿命が来るという、方でも等しく性別を問わず年齢を問わず、そして家族構成やさまざまな自分のバックグラウンドや背景や職業に問わず無用な被爆を避ける権利というのは世界中の人に共通に持っている基本的人権なんです。
That right to live free from radiation exposure is intrinsic to every single person, even the babies who were just born, or if you are an older person who might end your life tomorrow, regardless of your sex, regardless of your family members, regardless of your background, we all need to have the right to avoid unnecessary radiation exposure, and that's the right to every single person in the world.
私が福島から避難をすることを決意できた理由の一つに、私が生まれた国では広島、長崎で73年前に原子力爆弾が落とされました。私は被爆者、被爆という言葉を知っていたから逃げる勇気と決断ができました。
There's one thing that I'd like to talk about why I decided to evacuate. Before the disaster, I already know that in 1945, atomic bomb was dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And from that, I knew the word hibakusha. Hibakusha means the person who suffered from the radiation exposure. And that's why, because I knew that word, I thought I had to leave this place.
原子力爆弾によって出されるものも平和利用とずっと言われ続けてきた原子力発電所の事故によって起きる爆発による被爆も同じ被爆なんです。つまりノーモア広島、ノーモア長崎であるならばノーモア福島なんです。
It's the same. The radiation exposure due to the atomic bomb or radiation exposure due to the seemingly peaceful usage of nuclear for the energy purpose. They are all the same radiation exposure. So I would say no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki, and then no more Fukushima.
日本の国民だけではなくて、それは世界の皆さんと私が一番共有してもらいたい 事実であり、福島の証言なのです。
That is the most important witness I have from Fukushima, and that is the right not only of Japanese people, but all the people in the world.
核との共存はできないことを、私は福島の原子力カタストロフィー、原子力惨禍から学びました。同じことを繰り返してはいけない。それは知った大人がその責任を持って発言をするべきだし、証言をし続けるべきだと思います。広島と長崎の被爆者の方々が発言を続け、平和を願い続けたのと同じことが福島の私たちにも言えることなんだと私は思っています。
I believe we can't live with nuclear. We have learned a lot of lessons from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we, as Fukushima victims, we need to continue to witness. We have the responsibility to tell the suffering to the people and to the next generation.
はい、最後になりますが、放射線被曝から免れ、健康を享受するというのは、私の国が持っている憲法には、こういう条文があります。全世界の国民が恐怖と欠乏から免れ、平和のうちに生存する権利を有するという憲法全文の条文があります。恐怖と欠乏、恐怖から免れる、放射能から免れる権利がこれに当たると思います。原子力爆弾でも原発で平和利用だと言われることもそれは同じです。核との共存はできないということを私は一番この世界の人が共通の認識にしてほしいと願って、この被爆からの自由、被爆を免れる権利の確立を本当に心から願って発言と証言を続けたいと思っています。私からは以上です。ありがとうございます。
The preamble to the Constitution of Japan states that all peoples of the world have the right to live in peace, free from fear and want. And I really like to pursue the life in peace, free from fear of radiation exposure and want. And I really like to stress that we cannot live with nuclear. And thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm very honored. So I now Akiko made a speech in the UN Human Rights Council last year, and she'd like to present it here. That's for 2 minutes, so I will play it here.
Next speaker is Greenpeace International. My name is Akiko Morimatsu. I'm here with other evacuees and mothers together with Greenpeace. I evacuated from the Fukushima disaster with my 2 children in May 2011. Shortly after the nuclear accident, radiation contamination spread. We were repeatedly and unnecessarily exposed to unannounced radiation. The air, water, and soil became severely contaminated. I had no choice but to drink the contaminated water, to breastfeed my baby. To enjoy health free from radiation exposure is a fundamental principle. The Japanese Constitution states, we recognize that all peoples of the world have the right to live in peace, free from fear and want. However, the Japanese government has implemented almost no policies to protect its citizens. Furthermore, the government is focusing on a policy to force people to return to highly contaminated areas. I call on the Japanese government to immediately fully adopt and implement the recommendations of the UN Human Rights Council. I thank UN member states for defending the rights of residents in Japan. Please help us protect people in Fukushima and in East Japan, especially vulnerable children from further radiation exposure. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mrs. Sonoda, the Fukushima mother who evacuated with her child and husband to Western Japan. And maybe just as well, if I could be very apologetic, I'm so sorry, but I have another meeting at 8 o'clock. So I will catch up with Ian afterwards to find out what I missed from Mrs. Sonoda, but I already can tell that this is such an important meeting, and I just want to thank all of our speakers so much for your courage and your determination to make sure that what happened in Fukushima 8 years ago will not be forgotten, and the rest of the world must learn from that. And I think your message here in the United Kingdom is needed more urgently than ever, so thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I was living in Fukushima with my husband and child. Our village was in beautiful countryside. We picked wild vegetables and nuts in the mountains, grew our own food in our garden, went swimming in a lake and skiing on the local slopes. We lived in a fantastic natural environment and with a strong local community. But now, 52,000 people are registered as official nuclear evacuees. We can't count the many unrecorded unofficial evacuees. 3 reactors melted down. 168.5 times more radioactive cesium has been released than from the Hiroshima atomic bomb. And radiation is still being released into the air and the ocean every day. The Fukushima nuclear disaster is the same record as Chernobyl level 7. The mega earthquake and the big aftershocks were frightening enough, but then we saw the explosion of reactor 1 live on TV. It was massive shock. The TV commentators were also stunned. We began preparing in case we needed to move quickly, but couldn't decide what should we do. 2 days later, reactor 3 exploded. We decided to evacuate because we knew reactor 3 used MOX fuel, which contained plutonium. It was a nightmare. Much public transport stopped and many roads were closed by earthquake damage. Daily essentials were lacking in shops, including food and petrol. The government hid information about the radioactive plume, resulting in mothers and children queuing for food and water under the radioactive fallout. They left us to be exposed to radiation. Finally, we were able to get to an airport. It was full of people trying to escape. TEPCO is the owner of the Fukushima nuclear plant. A TEPCO worker was on the same flight as us. He said to me, "I'm going to see my parents for a couple of days." My boss let me go to see my parents before entering inside the Fukushima nuclear plant. Hundreds of thousands of workers have been exposed to radiation every day since the disaster, with no follow-up. The UN Special Rapporteurs warned the Japanese government about the workers' situation last August, but the government doesn't take any responsibility for them. Many countries, including the UK, warned their citizens to leave Fukushima and Japan. The British Embassy in Tokyo distributed medical iodine to British people to help protect their thyroid from radiation exposure and warned them not to enter the north of Japan. But the Japanese government didn't give iodine to Japanese citizens and kept announcing, "Radiation will have no immediate effect on your health. the evacuation zone was made as small as possible. We had to make a decision ourselves because of the government's dishonesty. The international safety dose limit for man-made radiation is 1 millisievert per year, but the government raised the dose limit to 20 millisievert per year for Fukushima citizens, including infants, children, and pregnant women. It is 4 times higher than at Chernobyl. If the 1 millisievert limit was kept, many schools would not be able to open. Professor Yamashita, an official radiation risk advisor, was highly paid to tour Fukushima for the government. He said, "If you are smiling, radiation will not affect you. Radiation will come to people who are worried about radiation. There is no problem playing outside for children." The government used him to manipulate the Fukushima victims, and we were torn apart by his lectures, and conflict was created between victims. The UK can also find scientists and academics to claim that it is safe, even though evidence is lacking for suppressed through lack of finance and strategic sensibilities. Illness, including child cancers, suicide, family conflict, divorce, discrimination, bullying, poverty, and the destruction of local communities are the invisible problems created by the nuclear disaster. But everything is treated as the individual's own responsibility by the government and the TEPCO. The safety of food is a concern for avoiding internal radioactive exposure. There are over 50 independent testing centers around Japan. The levels found are often higher than in official testing. Many radionuclides, including plutonium and strontium, weren't checked officially in food, only cesium. Recently, a study by Kyushu and Manchester universities found that microparticles are at much higher concentrations than expected, even outside the evacuation zone, with a risk of inhalation. Many children and mothers have ongoing health problems. More than 50 countries stopped importing Japanese products, but the EU and this country eased the restrictions 2 years ago. I hope you will consider that contaminated food from Japan are being imported into the UK. The declaration of nuclear emergency situation still continues in Japan, but last year the government lifted most evacuation zones, even though many are still highly contaminated, and will stop all housing support at the end of this month. The government is pressuring students to return to Fukushima. Some evacuees have ended up on the street, and some committed suicide. Evacuee situation is critical now. Since 2011, Fukushima has scanned the thyroid of most children under 18 who were living there at the time of the disaster. Child thyroid cancer is usually very rare, but officially 273 have been found to have a thyroid cancer. In many cases, cancer has spread to other parts of the body, and the cancer developed abnormally quickly. The government finally admitted that the numbers are unusual, but they don't accept that the cause is the nuclear disaster. And BBC journalists blame the Japanese mothers for making their children ill by worrying about them too much, saying that stress will be the only health effect. We have been criticized inside and outside of Japan that we made the wrong decision. Mothers have been in such a difficult situation with big risks of serious illness. After the disaster, particularly women, children, and disabled people have been treated as nuisances and abandoned. Millions of tons of radioactive waste have been kept in bags across eastern Japan, including residential areas and schools. Many bags are breaking and we breathe in the contaminated dust. My uncle said, if the government says Fukushima is safe, take the contaminated soil from my field to Parliament. Also, the contaminated soil in Fukushima will be used for agriculture and road construction. It was said that nuclear industry created local jobs, and the same is said in this country. However, the disaster ruined their health, work, and community and had huge effects on millions of people. 2 years ago, I went to the United Nations in Geneva to give a speech for the Universal Periodic Review, UPR, press session. I talked about the violation of women and children's rights in the aftermath of Fukushima and appealed to the UN permanent missions. As a result, Germany, Austria, Portugal, and Mexico sent recommendations to the Japanese government, requesting that the government should support the Fukushima victims and follow international safety standards. Although the Japanese government accepted them officially, they are still ignoring it. The economy comes first, not our lives. The Japanese government do not recognize us as internally displaced persons, IDPs. I went to the UN again as an IDP panelist last June. The Human Rights Council keeps pressuring the Japanese government for the last 2 years, but they are avoiding their responsibility. Over 12,000 Fukushima victims have filed 30 cases against the government and TEPCO. 5 courts have judged that they have a responsibility for the victims, but the government have appealed, rejecting judicial decisions. Their aim is to delay and waiting for us to get old and die, as they did with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic victims. Meanwhile, the top 3 executives of TEPCO are being prosecuted in criminal proceedings, and the judgment will be in September. The victims are not just Japanese. The US effort to support Japan at the time of the disaster was called Operation Tomodachi, which means Operation Friend. Over 400 American sailors who worked on Operation Tomodachi are suing TEPCO for compensation over radiation exposure from the Fukushima triple reactor meltdown. 9 people have died. Others have various diseases, including leukemia. Japan's approach of minimizing evacuation and compensation and insisting that radiation is safe should not become the new model for the world, including the UK. New nuclear power stations are being built in the UK with foreign capital, foreign technology, and foreign operation. After the Fukushima disaster, Japanese company cannot build any more nuclear power stations in Japan. So the government plans to export its new nuclear business. But all plans are ended, including Toshiba in Moorside and Hitachi in Anglesey. Also, UK nuclear safety regulation haven't been decided for after Brexit, which means nuclear stations may operate with weakened regulation. Even if a nuclear disaster doesn't happen, human error or terrorism can be the cause of a catastrophe as bad as those at Chernobyl, Sellafield, 3 Miles Island, and so many accidents that happened in the past. The Japanese government used the slogan, "Fukushima is not a problem," and people are living as normal. For the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, They will supply Fukushima produce to feed the World Olympic athletes without checking for strontium or plutonium, and some sports will be played in Fukushima. Before the disaster, the Japanese government said, nuclear power is cheap, clean and safe, and severe nuclear accident will not happen. And the press did not question anything and was quiet. Politicians too. It is very similar to British situation now. I can't see enough debate about the nuclear issue in the British media. It is very dangerous. Victims are not just human. Abandoned pets in evacuation zones, farm animals, wild animals, insects, fish, trees, all across the land and into the ocean. All of nature was exposed to radiation by selfish human beings. Nature will never be the same for billions of years. We don't want anybody else to become a nuclear victims in the world. You are me before the Fukushima nuclear disaster. And I hope you can feel the many thousand voices from the Fukushima nuclear victims through us. Thank you.
Those three speeches were very moving, and it's very difficult to say to sum up things. But there's two things that I wanted to, which really resonated with me, and that was the statement by Ms. Yakota that all human beings have the right to live in an environment free of radioactivity and radiation. I thought, yes, that's a really great thing to aim for, and what she was saying. The second was when she said that no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki, and no more Fukushima. Really summed it up in many ways.
Do you want to talk about the rise of anti-nuclear activism in Japan?
So she will provide the answer to her opinion to your question first.
日本語で大きい声で答えていいんですか？大きい声で答えていいんですか？まず一つ目のロビンさんのご質問なんですけれども、国際的な動きはあるのかというご質問ですけれども、
Your question is there international movement against
The Olympics, yeah.
私は思うんですけれども、
I think
それはまさに今この動きだと思っています。
just now here we are having that sort of action movement.
皆さんお一人お一人が今日福島の少なくとも3人の経験した母親人々の声を聞いてくださったので、
So tonight, three of us made a kind of testimony speech, which is all relating to Fukushima accident, and you heard it. So it starts from you, we hope.
この後ろには、多くの福島県民200万人がおり、その放射能は県境には止まらない、その隣の
So behind us, there are 2 million Fukushima residents. They are still suffering, facing problem. And so from here,
そして、福島の外にも汚染は広がり、そして日本のことを国境を越えてイギリスの皆さんが知ってくださることがもうすでに国際的な動きだと私は信じているので、
so contamination, pollution, radiation, it goes all over in the world. So you are kind of receiving end of it too. So you are part of this sort of movement. You are involved already.
そうですから国境を越えて国際的なこれを共有できる問題だと思った方々がお一人お一人が自分の問題として自分に引きつけて、
So internationally, if one of you here feel like it is a big international issue, that is the start of our movement.
これからご一緒に皆さんと一緒に歩んでいきたいと思います。
So I like to walk with you in this path. Is it okay?
Come sit here.
Yeah.
So it starts with you, buddy.
もちろん、脱原発や反原発の運動やそれに関わる女性の動きはあったんですが、結果としては、運動は原発は動いていたわけで、皆さんまさかこんな福島のような惨事が起こるとは思っていない中でしたが、3.11 以降は本当に私も含め、浅見さんもそうですが、普通のお母さんだった人たちがこの福島の間違いに気づき、声を上げ、そしてこうして行動に移っていると現状があります。
And of course, we had a new nuclear weapon dropped in Japan, and there was some kind of movement against nuclear weapons. Anti-nuclear movement were there. However, until really 11th of March 2011, against nuclear energy and against this terrible radiation. That's Fukushima people, Fukushima mothers, and they suddenly started to realize what's happening. So they stood up, they started to do something against this sort of terrible thing happening.
裁判を起こしているのも、それからこうして国境を越えて海外に渡り、皆さんにこの経験を一つ一つみんなが違う経験を伝えることもやっているのは、本当にそれまでは原発のことを申し訳ないけれども考えたこともなかったり、活動していなかった人たちの方が多いと私は思っています。
So we mothers sort of ashamed to say until accident happened. We didn't think about nuclear energy and its effect it will bring. However, after that, we started to take all cases to the court to ask what sort of criminal activity company was doing, government is following, and so on. And not only nationally, but we also started to appeal internationally as much as possible.
What can we do?
例えば私たちは今裁判とかにも取り組んでいますし、その中で、彼女の裁判だったらば署名を、インターネットでもそれからやっています。で、私は、全国の30ある訴訟団がそれぞれ裁判をやっているときに、裁判官に、日本の国民は、怒っているんだ、それから原発はもう二度とノーモア福島なんだということをメッセージを書くカードを、ポストカードを送る運動もしています。
So we are involved in many court cases, taking to the court to ask questions. Is that the right thing happening? And so, along with that, of course, there is a kind of activity. We appeal for signatures to general public, whatever way. And so these two things we are doing continuously.
そうでポストカードは別に国内だけではなく、もうそれが例えばイギリスの皆さんのところから日本の裁判所のそれぞれの判決を下さなければいけない裁判官のもとに、もし国境を越えて海外から、そういうメッセージが届けば、世界中の人が日本の裁判官に、正しい判決、公正な判決を出す勇気を与えると思うので、そういうポストカードの取り組みも応援してほしいと思います。
So there is another one, the postcard we publicize. Give postcard all over the world as much as possible, as wide as possible, and ask for signatures and so on. Judges in the court, of course, might receive postcards signed by you, and that makes some difference in the judgment. We have a format here whereby you can sign in, and it will be there. That's one of the cases involved in Japan.
それから今は SNS で私たちはこのツアー自体もずっと発信を続けています。それをもう皆さんがもし Facebook や、そのTwitter などをされていたらば、もうそれをシェアしてくださったり、口コミでどんどん広げていってほしいと思います。
Through SMS and also Facebook, whatever social media you can access to, you can get into this link and this relationship with other activists. So if you are willing to get into that kind of cycle, you are welcome. And please encourage yourself and friends to join us.
例えば、いいですか？一人一人のいいねは小さいかもしれないですけど、もっともらっていい？例えば、私は裁判のたびに、こういう、この
So at each court case I'm involved, I
紙に取ってもらって、
carry this sort of banner in front of the court or in the court.
そしてもし皆さんが今もし携帯とかをお持ちでしたら、この写真を撮ってもらって、それをもう Facebook とかにアップしてもらって、
Of course, you might have all iPhones.
シェアをしてもらえれば。
Do take this in your camera and do spread that information. Well, it is in Japanese, but still you can get
すごいいっぱい
translated
撮ってくれて
Translate it. Yeah.
somehow.
Google Translate. Yeah. Google Translate. Yeah.
It says we have a right for normal living, and we have a right to evacuate, and also let grasp safe future.
そう子どもたちや未来を守ってほしいという、普通の人たちが起こしている裁判だということを、今日聞いたお話をこう説明をしてもらいながらシェアを世界中にしてくださったら、
So, all intention this banner says is that really we like to protect our children's future through this sort of catchword and try to spread that through your contact. And that is very important. It might be small repercussion, but still it's important. People talk about it and spread the information.
これは原発賠償関西訴訟、大阪の地方裁判所に、訴えている裁判です。
So this court case is in Osaka court and asking for compensation for evacuees. That is one of many, many cases.
でも日本には日本中の、福島からもちろん福島でも彼女の裁判は福島で行われていますし、こちらの、方の裁判は京都で行われていますし、隣の神戸で行われている東京。
So, Yokota-san's case in Fukushima court, Sonoda-san in Kyoto court, and so on. It's all over the world. It is happening all together, concurrently.
30個の、集団訴訟、クラスアクションが、日本では起こっています。
So 30 cases taken to court asking for compensation, some sort of compensation.
そして民事訴訟の損害賠償だけで、国家賠償請求だけではなくて、刑事訴追を求める、そういう運動もあります。
And of course, along with these civil cases asking for compensation from TEPCO government, we are also taking court criminal action carried out by TEPCO.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
I have to say that
Thank you. Thank you very much.
in answer to your specific question, there is a website for international action called Beyond, write this down, Beyond Nuclear International. Right? They're very good. They're based in Washington, D.C. It's run mainly by an English woman, Linda Gunter, a good friend of ours. You will find details on that website today about the postcard that you can fill in and send off to support the women here in their various court cases, okay? And you can subscribe to their mailing list, and about once every 2 weeks you will get an up-to-date about what's happening in Japan. So I hope that you will go home and then you will put Beyond Nuclear International into your Google search site and go on their mailing list, okay? Yeah, that's what we could do here.
本当にありがとうございます。日本でも毎週金曜日に本当に小さなそれぞれの地方の駅で普通の人々が福島の被害を、同じように、駅前に立って、お声を上げてくださっています。世界の人がそれをやってくださっているということは、本当に私たちがここでこうして発言をする勇気につながっていると思います。先ほどの答えでもありました通り、放射能がばらまかれて私たちの健康や命に関わる権利を侵害するのが一次被害だとすれば、発言をしたときにそれを叩いたり脅かしたりバッシングをして言論の自由も奪われるのが原発問題なんです。それは二次被害と言えると思います。
Your suggestion, of course, to remind us every Friday all over Japan, in front of maybe city office, town office or station, there are many groups do the same action, and they gather and they make speeches, they leaflet, and these things happening all over Japan every Friday. However, when we of course talk about radiation issue, wherever and whoever, the point is we get radiation definitely, first of all, but there are some people who start to come up with another approach, saying, you are saying something very antisocial, or, saying something very against these actions. So there is always conflict like that among people. That is another effect or aftermath happening everywhere. It's maybe human nature, maybe everybody wouldn't agree with the radiation happening and whatever, and particularly in Japan. This is my opinion, that in Japan, government make rule that majority people just follow it. They never protest. That sort of conventional attitude exists. So if minority people say anything against government, they are all discriminated. They are all bashed up. And that's happening too in Japan, in reality.
Now, I'd like to make some personal comments, if I may. About 3 years ago, myself, Liz Field, and Rick Mottram, the three of us went on a study tour to Japan ourselves. In fact, we followed it up the following year with another study tour. We were, I think it's fair to say, we were really upset about what we saw in Japan. The reason, what I'm saying to you is that this isn't just the Japanese people here. We have been there and we've seen with our own eyes, and let me tell you, we were chastened, shall I say, by the sad plight of many of the groups that we saw. We were witnesses ourselves to what was going on in Japan. The three of us are more than willing to speak to anybody privately and to tell you of our own individual experiences. That's one thing. The second thing I wanted to mention to you is that there's a great deal, here in Britain, there's a great deal of ignorance about what is radiation and what is radioactivity. Most people couldn't tell the difference if you asked them. That's not to blame them. We're not taught about radiation and radioactivity in schools. However, there are a number of speakers who are willing to come and speak at local meetings and to tell people about radiation and radioactivity and why it's important, and to say what's happening with the nuclear power industry in Britain and the world. So if you would like a speaker to come along. There was one just last week in Haringey, at Jackson's Lane community in North London. There's about 15, 20 people there. What I'm getting at is that if you want us to kick nuclear, to organize meetings, or if you want a speaker, we'll do it. Or if you have any questions about radiation and radioactivity, I have a website, and I get about 150 questions a day now, and it's got to the point where I can't really deal with them, about radiation and radioactivity, because people just don't know, and they're frightened. And one of the things that we noticed in Japan, Rick and Liz and myself, was that the number of training courses that were going on, and the number of self-help groups, of women self-help groups who were educating themselves about radiation and radioactivity. For example, making their own radiation meters, Geiger counters. They're very expensive, but if you make your own, they're much cheaper. Let me tell you that in Britain, we're way behind the curve in many ways. I would estimate that there are, in Britain, maybe about 3 radiation meters held by people outside of the nuclear industry. 3. I've got one, and Liz has got another one. Now that's important, because if you can hear the ticking of a Geiger counter, that tells you that there's radiation going on, and that we're receiving doses, mostly from cosmic rays from our galaxy. But not to worry. What I'm saying is that we've heard pleas from our Japanese visitors. They're saying that youngsters don't know about radiation and radioactivity. So we have a duty to inform people about this, to teach ourselves about it. And we're doing it in a small, low-case way, but that's the best we can do. Okay? What I'm saying to this group, this meeting here tonight, you want to learn about it? We'll tell you about it. Okay?
I think keep approaching to media is really important to tell.
参加する人たちにもなんか反対のアピールの手紙を出したりするということを考える。
Media or local authorities, anywhere you can do. I think.
Yeah, contact media.
Yeah, contact media is really important.
Which are the international organizations like IAEA, WHO, are they informing the world about the dangers of consumption of radioactive food from Japan? Is that your question?
先ほど帰還の話を私はしましたけれども、3.11 で原発が爆発以降、日本の国は基準を緩めて、要するに今までは厳しい基準でやっていても、それを基準というものの方を変えて流通をさせたり、人々を返したりということをしているんですね。これは法治国家として、もちろん法律、国会決まっているとはいえ、ありえないことだと思うんですね。
Now, what's happening in Japan is that any agricultural product, of course, they had a strict limit of radiation or whatever level. But what Japanese government came up with is relax that limit. So it now different rule they apply. And the different rule to evacuees also say, now we make it up to 20 millisievert, okay. So come back. That sort of attitude from the authority in Japan exists.
そういうことを日本の国内で許してはいけないのはもちろんですけれども、だから世界が、そういう食べ物の輸入を、拒否するっていうのは当然のことなのに、政府はそれを遺憾に思うとかっていうふうなコメントを出していますが、それを言う政府を私は遺憾に思います。
Yeah, so Japanese government, when they answer reaction from some country or European people that they don't want to receive that sort of product which is contaminated, Japanese government, what they say? Oh, sorry for that. But they continue exporting. And in this country, Fukushima rice has been sold through one particular Japanese shop. And it is happening. So what do you say? If authority itself change the rule or limit, relax the limit of the safety.
What you do is you buy yourself a Geiger counter and
Yes,
measure the radiation coming off the sack of flour, or rice flour. That's what you do. And it was take action in your own hands. I mean it. Now, unless there's any more questions, we've only got a few more minutes. I have some concluding remarks, okay? Sorry, I'm going to finish off now, okay? I'm going to finish off now, okay?
Background monitor. Yes.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely, yeah. We've been here, it's been a great pleasure here today. We've been very lucky to have three great women, very brave women in Japan who have been here, and we've been listening to their testimony as witnesses. It's been very moving. A couple of times close to tears. It's even worse than I thought, particularly the tales of discrimination against the children. That really is heart-wrenching. It really is. But before I'm going to ask people to applaud and show our appreciation, I want to say one or two other things. Here in Britain, things are changing about nuclear power. It hasn't been in the newspapers yet, but the government, I think, is in the process of changing its attitude. The UK government is in the process of changing its nuclear policies, its pro-nuclear policies. For example, it has refused to give any money to the Japanese, former Japanese proposed plants at Wilfa in North Wales and at Moorside in Cumbria. It wouldn't give any government money. At the same time, a few days later, it gave £500 million to offshore wind. Money speaks more powerful than words. Because the government's been saying nice warm words about nuclear, but it doesn't give them any money. And if you're a betting person, then basically you should be aware that the government's putting its money on renewables. It has announced a review to be published in the summer, energy review. We'll have to wait and see what that review says. But there are encouraging signs of a change in the government's policy, okay? That's very good. I'm closing my speech now. Just be one more minute, okay? Thank you very much. He's jumping at the bit there. I would like everybody to express our admiration and warmth and thanks for coming to Britain.
One more thing. On that table, there is this postcard. Please take back home, one each. And it is the message until the day when all the families recover their smiles. We continue claiming the right to avoid unnecessary exposure to radiation. And the whole painting says, mothers, children hugging each other.
Thank you.